Mortgage rates continue their climb back towards 7%. The average 30-year fixed up for the fifth straight week to 6.73%. That's according to Freddie Mac, up from 6.65 a week ago. Rates were just above 6, though, in early February. They were 3.85% 1 year ago.
Now, there's absolutely no question that the Austin market is shifting, and this new report out by Independence Title, I think, shows us the biggest culprit as to why. We've got the highest home inventory for sale that we've had in about 15 years. I think that's absolutely one of the biggest catalysts as to why we're seeing so much change, but let's really dive into it. Now, we'll talk about prices in a little bit, but we have to talk about builder inventory as well as interest rates, because we can't get around the fact that interest rates right now are hovering around 7%, at least in the high 6s. Now, if we look back, 2019, 2018, those pre-COVID years, we were seeing rates hovering right in those high 4s, low 5s. And while I fully expect our rates to go back there, I have to be completely honest, I don't see any indication whatsoever of that happening anytime soon. Now, for obvious reasons, interest rates do affect pricing because of course they affect affordability. And if I put this chart up right now, 72% of Americans are sitting on a rate right around that 3.5%. 72% are sitting under 4%. And you can see as those rates go up to that 6% and that 7%, how much of a difference that's making on a monthly payment. Now, obviously that's not the same boat for everybody, but when we're talking about affordability, like how much your money can stretch, making that much of a difference compared to where people are sitting at, even if they left their own home and just bought another one, where they would be at, that makes a really, really big difference. But that doesn't even get into builder inventory. Now, every single one of the homes behind me that you can see is available right now. And this is a big impact for sellers of resale homes because of course, these are the homes that you're comparing it to, which is why I'm going to emphasize preparation, but we'll talk more about that in a second. The other big thing that builders are doing too is they're really cutting into a lot of those profit margins from land that they've owned, like the development we're standing in right now, since well before COVID, since prices went crazy. So their profit margins are nice enough that they're offering insane incentives, especially around mortgage rates, to bring those payments down. And if you're a resale home trying to compete against these, it's really making you work for it. Now, what does all of this mean for my sellers, for example? It means more than ever, it is so important to not only present the house as best as possible, but do the little touch-ups, clean those carpets or just replace them, do the wall touch-ups, make sure that everything is as good as possible for those buyer showings. For example, I'm not selling any vacant listings right now that are not staged. We have to present as best as possible because we know that buyers are comparing homes like this to so many others in the same neighborhood, in the same area. Now, the number of inventory depends a lot on the area. A lot of them, you can see on this heat map, have a lot more inventory than others, and you can see on the heat map as well how many are selling and how much it's cooling off and heating up in some of the different neighborhoods. That's why I tell most of my sellers too, and you guys that reach out to me, you know, what do we think about what's going on? Well, it's really neighborhood specific because you'll see some really hot areas in there right now, which is also very interesting. Now, even though a lot of the news websites and the YouTube videos you may watch pitch Austin as a terrible market, completely decimated by everything going on right now, the reality of that is just not true. We are still seeing over 3,000 homes transact every single month here in Austin, which is only a very small decrease from what is normal for this market. And the reality is too, every neighborhood's a little bit different. You can see from that heat map we were talking about earlier, a lot of the neighborhoods are still doing well. Central South Austin is still doing well, for example. Northwest Austin, you know, the Great Hills kind of area is still very hot, and those houses are selling fast and for really strong money above what they were selling for at the same time last year. I've got a listing in 78704 Central South that's selling for above what it was last year. Just as a couple of examples. Now, some of the farther out suburbs are hurting a little bit. Some of the more surprising markets like Horseshoe Bay are actually moving really, really quickly right now as well. Bastrop is steadily increasing. All of this to say, it's not all doom and gloom. Don't necessarily take every little thing as being specific to the whole market. It's really not. Now, Austin still is growing tremendously. Twitter X just announced that they're moving their headquarters here. One example of many, many different areas of growth. Of course, tech has shrunk a little bit here in Austin, but so much industry is coming out this way. Now, what do you guys think? What do you think of Are interest rates going to drop? Are they not? What's that going to mean for Austin in the long term? I've kind of shared my opinions, and I hope that all of this is a good way to shed light on the whole situation of just what's going on here, what the actual reality is, you know, here in Austin, specific for this market, not just the global or national, what you see on the news websites. Let me know what you think down in the comments. We'll see what happens.